She is the loudest one out there all the time.
Like, there's no worse feeling on the field than having to run backwards for the ball.
You can't just stick any athlete in the outfield and hope for the best. Let's find out why.
Welcome to the DSPN Softball Central podcast, your comprehensive look into the world of fast-pitch softball.
In softball, when it comes to outfielders, everybody loves to talk about speed and arm strength, right up until a bad read leads to extra bases. Today, we're pulling the curtain back on outfield play with Andre Butler, a former college outfielder, college coach, and the mind behind graveyard mentality, a philosophy built on outfield IQ and why decisions matter more than highlights. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So the first thing I wanted to ask you is, what's the worst decision an outfielder can make with the ball and why?
Well, the worst decision they can make with the ball, obviously they have the ball. It's not knowing what to do with the ball and throwing the ball to the incorrect base. And that why is because we always want to know what to do with the ball before a play is hit. And then when it's hit to you, you read and react and you adjust based off of what's in front of you.
It was beaten into my head when I started playing ball, my dad saying, know what you're going to do with the ball before it gets there. Ask the question before the pitch is thrown. It's perfect philosophy. And when you feel comfortable like that, you know what you're going to do with the ball. Things just happen and they just click. So anyway, sorry.
Well, I think even so from a coaching Robin when she was in 10U and 12U, us yelling, where are you going with the ball? This episode is sponsored by the Glove Pope. From custom glove builds to pro-level relacing, break-ins, and conditioning, the Glove Pope has mastered the art of glove restoration. Visit theglovepope.com. You can also search at The Glove Pope on all social media platforms. Mention DSPN and receive a 15% discount.
So, Andre, can you tell listeners about graveyard mentality and how it got its start?
Yeah, so graveyard mentality stands for where hits are laid to rest. I was coaching at Penn State on the baseball side back in 2016. And I found that our outfielders were not having a very good day. They looked bored, which means I was bored. None of us were having fun. You know, it's cold weather, the sun wasn't shining, all of the things against us. And I said, well, if I'm going to be here every day, which obviously I wanted to, we have to get a little bit more out of this. We have to find some joy in our position. So it started for those 7 outfielders we had, and I'm always super grateful for them. I always like throw up a little post about them once a year, just thanking them for kind of being the go-getters to buy into this. And I was fortunate to speak at the ABCA convention, and it was great. People liked it. And I said, all right, well, you know what? I think we can do this as like a full-time thing because nobody pays attention to outfield play. And then we had 2 young ladies who wanted to come to a baseball camp that we were having. And I said, wait, you can certainly come, but we want to have a space that is just for softball. And that happened in Maryland. So our first softball location happened in Maryland. And then we went on to pretty much replicate what we did on the baseball side. Now we're in Maryland, California, Texas, Georgia, here where I live, and doing a little bit up in New Jersey and some other pockets too. So, and now coming soon will be Florida in November. So we are moving, and I also have 2 daughters. One was born 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice.
So it's been a cool journey, and I'm excited to work with more and more softball players. It's been a lot of fun.
For the listeners that don't know, because I am not quite sure, what is the ABC conference?
So ABCA is the American Baseball Coaches Association. They have a conference that they put on. In fact, a lot of softball coaches will come over to that, even though softball has their own. It's just been going for so many years. And I spoke there twice, once in Dallas and then the other one in DC. So the DC one was about a year and a half ago. And it's a great way to market your brand, whether you're speaking on the stage or not.
So, Andre, what inspired you to focus specifically on outfield play when so many other programs focus more on hitting and pitching? You kind of alluded to it a little bit before, but I didn't know if you wanted to expand on that or not.
Yeah, I think well, I first look at my college career and playing, and I had great coaches. They cared about me and everything, but I graduated from college in 2012. So the only social media outlet then was, MySpace was dying off at that point. And then Instagram was becoming popular. But even though it was becoming popular, you didn't see as much information on there in the sports world. So players weren't just going on and finding, pages and getting knowledge where now players are. So I look at it and say, well, what did I wish I had more of when I was a college athlete? And then even on the coaching side, I think we always have to think about getting 1% better even as coaches. I was coaching at Swarthmore College, which is higher than D3, and then University of Penn in the Ivy League. And I'm like, I owe those guys an apology because I didn't know anything that I know now, right? Um, and then I keep trying to challenge myself with that. So that's kind of just been the full story about what I'm trying to create and never getting bored with it. Never. I've had the opportunity to be at the Chicago Cubs spring training the past week. So it's been a busy week. But I learned different things from that and things that I can implement into the softball industry a ton. So there's a lot of nuances in our sport. There's a lot more data in our sport. You look at the big schools now, they have all the analytics, especially in these Power Four conferences. So now how can the athlete understand the data with actual performance and outcome? And I'm a big believer you have to show your work as a coach because players will find the right answer if you don't give it to them.
Andre, what do people get wrong about playing the outfield?
That's a good question. I many think that the position is just easy. I mean, life in general is not easy, So, especially when we talk about sports, a sport of failure, a sport where you're naturally on the offensive side, you might strike out, here or there, and you got to get a chance to go up and win a game with a defensive play. But it's not easy. And I always think about this, that, the ball is coming off the bat harder than we've ever seen before from our young ladies. Players are more physical, they're stronger. It's a very small field. It appears to be like the older that the sport becomes. There's not one girl that can outrun the ball. And because of that thought, it allows me to remember that outfield play is not easy. We have to be able to communicate, we have to be able to find a wall, and we have to be able to track the ball down all within about, 2.5 to 3.5 seconds of a play. That's really hard to do. It doesn't mean it's not impossible. And a lot of players that we might train on the graveyard side or even other people, their players might be so good that they make it look easy. And that's what we want. We want them to make it look easy. But the work that's put in, allowing you to make the decision within a split second, because that's what you're going to have to do in a game.
I love that. Yeah, and figuring out what angle to take, whether I'm going to dive, and if I commit to it, I got to make sure I'm going to catch that ball. So,
How does mentality plus preparation separate the real outfielders?
Oh, it's big. And I think at least my mentality is mostly because I grew up in Philadelphia, so I kind of have that East Coast Philly edge. And I just take that into the outfield. So the mentality is you have to have it, whether you're 0 for 8 at the plate or you missed the last fly ball. The girls out there have to have it, and then preparation is huge. And a lot of people don't understand, well, what is preparation in the outfield? You just kind of sit out there and wait for the ball. Like, no, like I'm gonna know every detail possible before she even hits the ball. If you show up early to the ballpark and you see some girls over there taking batting practice, we're like, watch, that's your opponent. Get a chance to read her swing, see what holes she has in her swing, where her strengths are. If her strengths are to the opposite field, you're playing right field. She's a right-handed hitter. She might get one in the right center gap, especially that center field view, which obviously everyone wants to play center field. You're able to not only track the ball, but tracking the catcher, and where she's set up, all to have more of a predetermined understanding of where this ball might end up. Doesn't mean that she's necessarily going to shift over completely mid windup, but that vision is giving her mind some thoughts and ideas on where this ball might go. And that's why I think softball is a great sport for kids to learn how to pay attention a little bit longer, right? Because you're dialed in for like those 5 or 6 seconds. Okay, take a deep breath and relax. And you're dialed in again, take a deep breath. So that mentality and preparation and consistency on being disciplined enough to do that for 120 times a game is really what we're asking of.
Why do most outfielder mistakes happen before the ball is even hit?
Usually the prep step is not, where it needs to be. I think it's just like constant education in the game. And I feel like this upcoming year, meaning like the spring and summer camps that are starting, I feel like that series of new drills is going to be about our prep step. We can make our prep step better. And I love the fact that I kind of am on both sides of baseball and softball because there's some things that happen sooner on the baseball side that don't get to softball until a little bit later. So naturally, I look at that as an edge for the players who train with me and say, look at all the things in our sport of softball and say, notice when it changed and how it changed, right? And players are starting to keep track record of that. I think some of the prep step stuff, remember, we're dealing with athletes who are much more athletic and strong, and we can show data on how good was your start in this year versus that year. There's a lot of metrics we can pull up to show ways to create more efficiency in our movements. And for me, it's all about the start. There's not one girl out there that can outrun a ball. So if our start is bad, we're not catching up to it. So for me, it's about when are we down? Are we down too early to where we're stagnant and we get stiff, and then that doesn't create us to move as freely as we want? Or can we get down right when that barrel's crossing the plate? We got some good stuff coming up with our prep step to make our girls better.
That's perfect. It leads right into the next question. So, what causes false steps, and why are they so hard to fix?
I think it's a lot of it's just like players not being timed up, which you're going to see from maybe younger girls. Some of it might be just the fourth inning and she's just not locked in anymore. She took a play off, and you can take one play off, it could cost you the game. I was taught at one point in my career to always go first step back. And for me, I'm more on let's read and react. Let's read the things in front of us because if I go first step back, that's immediately assuming that every ball is hit over my head or right at me. But what about the balls that are hit in front of me? How will I still get that? And if I go back, I'm a tick late. Well, I'm all about pouring more and more energy and confidence into our players. And if we're having them dialed in on, let's see this ball get to contact, and she knows that it wasn't a great hit, so it's going to have more of a loop like this, just over the shortstop's head, or it's a low sinking line drive where it's just cutting the grass, and she sees that ball's in, there's no need to waste time going back. And I think that's part of my aggressive mentality. And like I said, being able to show your work versus that one ball that is a line drive. Okay, now we're going to sink and go back to allow that play to develop a little bit longer. So it's probably the lack of in-depth coaching, showing your work of wow, you're seeing some false steps with outfielders.
Why do routine fly balls cause more errors than hard hit ones?
I think the timing of it. I was talking to somebody the other day. The play is a lot longer. Usually a routine ball, the ball's higher, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's probably the longest play in our sport. And what happens is everybody's kind of like holding their breath. If it is routine, the ball's just up and everybody's waiting for that moment. So you always have to think about, well, what is that player doing? Or is her heart beating so fast? Or does she have that internal heartbeat where it's just like, hey, big deal. We got this. But sometimes players might lack that confidence, whether it been because they struck out, they're not having a good defensive game. And she just needs to remember, relax, it's a sport. You'll be okay.
So, why doesn't arm strength automatically make a great outfielder?
Yeah. Um, y- you know, The outfield assist is the stat I care least about, because everything has to happen for you to get an outfield assist. She's got to run on you. The ball's got to be hit to you at a certain speed. Then she's got to actually run, or the coach actually has to wave her home on that play. And then, the ball has to bounce well in your favor. So it's cool to look at, and those highlights are great when a player does get an outfield assist, but you also can play the position not having the strongest arm. Different scenarios, well, you can be really fast. You can be a slap hitter, right? So you're going to definitely lock down some defense on the outfield. And then maybe if your arm's not strong enough, we can always pull you out of the game in the last inning when we need that defensive arm in there. I've always done it. Every team I've coached where we've had, like, hey, you don't start because you ain't got your bat's not great yet, but you've got a really good arm, a good defender. Get ready for the last inning of the game, and you're our player for that. So many, and then obviously if you're fast enough, you don't have to worry about throwing it and it's an out. There's nobody on bases, hopefully. But that arm strength component for me is our least stat that we're looking at. It doesn't mean we don't work on it. We definitely work on it in our training camps and how to utilize, our feet and our lower half to gain momentum into our throw. But it's just not something that we're going to say you can't play at whatever school because your arm is poor. There's other components of the sport that are good too.
I've been watching a lot of college softball like everyone else, and well, I assume everyone else.
Well,
We're just a little
complete
crazy.
nerds.
But when they continually talk about everyone has a role on the team, and so someone's bat isn't hot, they may not be starting, or someone may be DPing for them, but everyone has a role. And I never thought about that. I'm like, that's true. Like, yeah, you're going to go in the last inning because we need you defensively for that last inning. So.
Well, you know who was put in for defense? Bill Buckner, and the ball went right through his legs. Yeah, I can't get. I will never give it up. I can't. Sorry, the guy. He's passed away. I've kind of forgiven him, but at least the Red Sox are winning again. So, anyways,
when is not throwing the ball the smartest play?
That's part of like knowing what we're going to do with the ball before it's hit. And I like my players to think for themselves. I know the cuts yelling, 2 or 4. I always look at how far she had to go get that ball.
Mm.
You should know the runner on second speed. All right, you had to go a long way, or you bobbled the ball. She's definitely going to score. At that point, I would probably you look for outs. So if she's not throwing it in, obviously she's going to run it in. But I would say, well, go ahead and you give a great arm fake and try to get that runner who might have gotten to second base to kind of lead off, like get off the second base and round it hard. She's going to be waiting to see this throw that's an imaginary ball because you never actually threw it. And you either go back to second, or if she tries to extend to third base or whatever, or the same scenario running around first base, right? If she's looking for that, run around first, you can go back around first base, better not miss because it's going to be bad, or you can get her at second. So I would say that's probably a scenario where not throwing is okay, but you have to get it in.
What's the most common throwing mistake you see from outfielders?
I would say that the mistake is more so not hitting the cut on like that correct side. Let's say the ball's at the wall and, we got one shot to get her out the plate, and it takes the cut off a whole different direction. So she loses her momentum, and now we don't get her at the plate. I think it's not worked on a ton. I mean, coaches do like, outfield defensive priority and all that. Like we'll work on it during that segment. But you look at an infielder and how they warm up. Usually you'll see them doing their taps or like acting like they're fielding a ground ball, sideways, shuffles, everything. And then sometimes you watch an outfielder warm up and it's like the most bland thing you've ever seen. So I always look at what the infield does and say, well, why don't we do that for our position? So working on some more, no looks, your target, hit your partner on her throwing side, on her glove side, so that she can make the transfer, and then you just keep going back and forth. So I would say it's something like that. would be our, throwing issues that some might have.
I hadn't thought about that recently, and especially at, the 12U, 14U, 16U level, that's important. And especially if, you have a big team and they're warming up. How are they just warming up, just throwing back and forth? Or you're right, are they throwing to that glove side?
We're trying to prepare our young athletes for life. So like off the field stuff, like there's a reason why you go to school and you learn and get educated to prepare you for what life might throw at you. So the same thing in our sport of softball. We warm up to prepare for, okay, there we go, that play that might happen
Uh-huh.
in a
That game
game. So
situation. Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
So, what's a smart outfield play that usually gets misunderstood?
being able to catch a ball at the wall, I think not necessarily misunderstood. I think when people see the highlights, they think it's just like, oh, it's an easy play. I think it's one of the harder plays in the game. I think that, and then like the catcher pop that's taking her into the dugout, is probably one of the harder plays because you're dealing with an object, where you can get hurt. And then also, the communication factor is also going to come into that play as well, where you might have another teammate that's there calling you off or whatever the case may be. That's probably underlooked, not worked on as much because you want to stay safe and to be greedy, you want to get the out as well.
Yeah. I
Awesome.
think we were watching a game last week and it was a college game. Remember there were like three girls right there
Mhm.
and it dropped. I forgot what game we were
It was
watching.
like it was in no man's land, and no one
Yes.
Yeah.
communicated, no one took it.
Yeah.
Um, so the one that sticks out in my mind about a smart play that an outfielder makes that people misunderstand, and it happened probably a couple years ago. My daughter and I were watching it. So bases are loaded, the game is tied, and there's one out, and the ball gets hit, almost like home run length, but it's in foul territory, and the girl just let it drop because it was that deep. And my daughter was like, "Why did she catch that ball?" I'm like, "She didn't catch it because if she caught
Yeah.
up, that runner at third tags up, goes
Yeah. It's
home,
gonna go.
game over." She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, okay."
Yeah.
So, like, I'm sure when a lot of people see that, they're like, "I can't believe she didn't catch that ball." But
And
anyways,
it's something that you have to tell your players in that moment, like before it's hit. I think that's where like overcoaching is okay. To y'all dog out like, hey, or before they go out there in that inning, it's still tough. I don't know many coaches that are doing this. Like, hey, if the ball's hit this far, let it fall in. Like it's
Yeah.
really a field play, and I think that's where watching our game, like there's always something like, man, I've never seen that happen, and that just continues to educate you,
mhm.
for the next best play.
If you're a fan of the show, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We offer a $5 single tier with no frills. It's just helping support the show. Every cent goes into making the next episode better. You can find more details at patreon.com/softball central.
Andre, what traits can't be taught, but every great outfielder has?
Is like that want and desire to die for a ball. Um, we work on it at our training camps to get players to be more comfortable. And at any level of our game, you see some players who are like really good and just can't do it, or who are good and can do it. But I think you have to have it to play this position. You have to be able to get dirty. You have to be able to get grass stains. And if you're scared to dive, usually that player is more likely to get injured because now you got a ball coming at them at a high velocity, high exit velocity. And then you have a player who's running at what we hope is their top speed. And now they're going to land on what we hope is not their wrists or anything like that, where they're going to get injured. So that fear, I think that I can teach it in everybody, but usually at our camps, we're like, okay, let's see who can dive and who can't, to try to get them past that fear of them doing it.
I've heard coaches talk about trusting that the other outfielder is going to
Back you up.
back you up.
I look at that. You don't know each other. You don't want to be the one that makes a mistake, and it's like embarrassing for some, to watch that ball roll behind you. But I get it. Like there's no worse feeling on the field than having to run backwards for the ball. It's like I don't want to sprint because I want to kind of look cool, but I probably should sprint because I already messed up. Like there's no cool way about it. And it's not a good feeling. So I think that it's easier for some to say, "Oh, I could just pull up right here and just field as a grounder and let her take first base." Or with me, like I'm into like ruining someone's dreams. I am into ruining someone's day. And I look, and as I explain this to players, I say, well, what happens when a ball's hit really hard and it's barreled up? And they start, I don't know, like the ball's hit hard and it gets off touch. I'm like, no, think about our game. Well, you got mom and dad over on the stands who are going nuts. They're going crazy. They are super excited for her. And then what happens when you're there to make an amazing play? You hush them up, you quiet them up, right? And you're going to do that. You're going to ruin her day and nicely shake her hand afterwards and say, good game. Because that hitter will never forget you. And
Mhm.
I always try to make our players look at it on the offensive side. Like it's happened to all of them before. You had a really good hit. You're in the car driving home, and mom and dad's like, "Oh, but it's okay. You had a good hit." But all you can think about is that girl that robbed your hit, made a diving play, and took it away. And then I ask them, say, "Don't you want to be that girl?" You know? And usually for most, they're like, "Yeah, now I get it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm trying to ruin her day." So I think that's what I like that's the mentality piece of it and getting them to understand, I want you to do that because if you get the opportunity for that ball, you can control that. You can control being aggressive to go dive for it. Um, and as a team, as a collective team, we want them to be bought and say, it's okay if you miss. And even as coaches, we want to give our players that freedom to say, go be aggressive and dive, and we'll teach you the situations where we need to be aggressive versus not. But we're not going to have players playing scared because of what I might say after the dive that doesn't work out in our favor.
Right. And always just looking at it as, and when they make those amazing catches, she did her job. She hit a great ball. You did your job. You caught it and kept her from scoring or what have you. So it's everyone doing their job and, um, you know, just being a good player and hopefully ruining some people's days.
I really,
Absolutely.
I
Ruin
real,
it.
I really enjoy that part about ruining someone's day.
Yeah.
Really, that's really nice. That's awesome.
Still gonna shake her hand. It'll be all
Yeah.
good, and she'll never forget you.
Never forget you.
Ever.
Yeah.
So, as far as recruiting goes, what are college coaches looking for? What do they evaluate in an outfielder?
What they're looking for, athletes for sure. Girls who aren't afraid to go get the ball. Girls who are able to separate their offensive part of their game from their defensive part of their game. Speed, jumps, ability to read swings, read hitters, ability to understand how to move themselves throughout a game based off a hitter's swing or based off what pitch we're throwing. That's just softball IQ, right? They want to see what your IQ is because that's less that they have to coach when you arrive on campus. And it's not that we don't want to coach, that college coaches don't want to coach. It's just if you could get a dog that's already potty trained versus one that's not, you're gonna go get the dog that's potty trained.
Don't
So
say
that's
anything, Rob. I just got a I got a puppy and he's still mad at me
bless
3
your
months
heart.
later.
Mm.
I
Lot
like
of
that
late,
analogy.
That
lot of 2
that
a.m. waking ups.
that was a little Atlanta right there. Oh, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
Which means something completely different than bless your heart.
For sure. Just something nice to say.
Yeah, you guys are ganging up on me.
Just saying.
um Yeah, no, that's a good one. We have a player, excellent outfielder, Abby Lunt, and I'll tell
Mm.
you that girl has made some amazing catches. And I love also as an outfielder, she is the loudest one out there all the time. What daily habit should every outfielder commit to?
I think their catch play and one just being able to play catch. I think especially during the off season, there are some players who are like, that's fine, I can take off for 2 months of throwing, and I'm like, well, your body's growing, you've gotten taller, and now you're gonna go and throw this ball, overhand to prepare for the season. That's just a lot of shock that's happening, all at once. So I think that's a daily thing of just throwing, throwing, and throwing. It doesn't have to be at the highest capacity of a long toss, but at some, even if you're in the Northeast and it's cold and snow on the ground, you've got an indoor facility for hitting. Go throw some balls against the net. That's totally fine. I think a commitment, a daily commitment, it's kind of like for hitters. Like if a hitter's like if she's on and she's hot, you're like, man, she's seeing a beach ball out there right now. Like, man, the ball looks so big. I think there's something to be said for the outfield as well too. Like you start to get in rhythm and routine of just really seeing the ball well off the bat. And I think it's not talked about because I think a lot of times we're just like, oh, it's routine, that's easy. No, she's just on. And I think that's a commitment that we need to have, especially within our season, because then when that really challenging ball is hit, we've been on, we've got that confidence, we go ahead and get it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Other parts of the country that talk about the off season, and here in California, I think there's
Yeah.
no off season. It just year round of playing. I was going to ask, do you in your clinics talk about, or maybe talked a little bit about it now, but arm care? That's one thing that people don't talk about as much, even for outfielders being able to like throw those long balls in. And I mean, ideally, you're going to hit your cutoff. But do you ever address like arm care?
Yeah, and I think the way we address it, and like our California camp that we have, that's always a 2-day camp. Our other camps are like North Carolina's a 1-day camp, Maryland's a 1-day camp. So we don't always get a lot of time, enough time
Mm,
as I would like to, and to like talk about arm care and everything. And then I look at it being selfless on what did that player do? And I asked them all, who had a game yesterday? So if we're running a Saturday, Sunday camp, okay, Friday, y'all do play a lot of ball. Okay, who had a game yesterday? Who threw a lot yesterday? Who had practice yesterday? I want to know. There's one thing to just ask, hey, how are our arms feeling? But who played? Okay, nobody played. That's why I like doing more of when we go out in not the summertime, but the winter, where I know they were in school. You probably didn't
hmm
play on Friday, so that means that Saturday, okay, we might be fresh. Or I'll say if it's a 2-day camp. I specifically tell them, here's how I have it laid out. We're not going to throw on Saturday because I don't know what you do on Friday. We're going to throw on Sunday. So I know everybody had an off day on that Saturday. But I try to also tell them, let's use our feet. Let's throw with our feet. The less stress we can take off our arm, the better. We'll get more velocity. We'll create that backspin that we want with the ball. And it's cool. Like where we do our training camp in California, it's like up on this mountain in Laguna Beach,
hmm
and there's a building right on the backside. So it's this long, large turf field, and it echoes really well when you can hear that pop of the ball hitting the glove. And I said, if I don't hear that pop, we're not throwing it well enough, and I should be able to hear it. So I just kind of look for certain things, and I think it's an individualized plan for each outfielder, throwing partners as well too. One of the things that I'm big on is within a team, everybody typically will play catch with someone at their status, arm strength, right? So if I got the best arm, I'm going to play catch with the other person that has the best arm. When I coach a team, I kind of reverse that a little bit. I take the best arm and have them play catch with the weakest arm, and then try to continue matching it up because yeah, I don't care if you roll the ball there, that's fine, right? But that player, that girl that doesn't have as good of an arm, now she gets a chance to say, well, they're out there and I'm here and I'm seeing her ball coming every time. It's going to motivate me to use my feet more. And it doesn't have to be all the time like that, but there might be 2 days a week where we're going, hey, you know, Madison's lined up with Katie because this is what we're doing to make each other better.
So finish this sentence. An outfielder is someone who
Is aggressive.
is
Yes,
aggressive.
I love it.
Awesome.
That
Yeah.
was easy.
Yeah. So on your website, you list everybody that's associated with you. Obviously, you're there. Your wife is there. And could you just run through those other coaches real quick?
Tell us about
Yeah.
your team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my team. So it was almost like ever since moving to Atlanta, it was like the team was kind of built and created, which has been great. And it's a reason why it's not called Andre Butler's Outfield Academy. I want to highlight more people than myself. I don't want people to get too comfortable with just only me, because you're only as good as the people who you're around, and they are sharp individuals. So Journey, who's out in California, is great. She's worked two of our California camps and will be at the next one in August 9th or August 8th and 9th. She's phenomenal. The girls love her. It's been great. Josh Stinson played at University of Georgia. He's more of our fresh legs, young leg. He's got so much energy. He's always smiling. And I'm like, man, you remind me a lot of myself just 14 years ago. Um, and so I want to keep people around with that type of energy. DK played at University of Miami. We met as soon as I moved here to Atlanta, and him and I just hit it off. Reggie Pruitt is just finished playing the Toronto Blue Jays organization, and he has been great. We connected because his sister babysits our kids, and I found that, my brother plays baseball. I said, okay, yeah, so do many other people's brothers. And and then found out who he was and how good he was, and he is sharp. He's just starting off his coaching career, and when you're on the field with him, you feel like he's like 20 years in. And he's great. Coach Mia is a coach at York College. She does some of our Maryland camps, and then obviously, as we mentioned, Tay is my wife. We've been on this journey for a while together. I kind of pulled her away from her corporate job, and said, this is a lot more fun. Why don't you come join this side? And mutually, it's just a really cool experience.
So, Journey Rojas, right?
Correct.
She played at CSUN, and she was there. She made it through COVID, and then we got to her senior year was 2021. And the reason I know so much about her is because we had a guest on previously, Jessica Mamba Alexander, that was at the school at the same time
Oh,
at
wow.
CSUN. But
Yeah.
Jessica's journey ended because of COVID. She was a senior that year, and then Journey was a senior the following year. So that's great. She's going to be out at this camp because we'll get to
Yeah.
beat her.
Ernie, yeah, she's great. For me, when we have camp, sometimes it's easier when you kind of have that person next to you that you're just kind of bouncing off. Like, we had a schedule, but then we just kind of get into a flow where it's like, I got this concept, you got this concept, I'm piggybacking off of this, and it becomes a lot of fun for the coaches. And I think the players feel that, they see that energy, and none of it's really rehearsed. We say, hey, here's the itinerary, but it's not rehearsed. It's not like, okay, I'm going to say this, you're going to say that. It's just we found a way to just go, and it makes for a really cool experience.
We'll be right back with the seventh inning walk-off. Welcome back, everybody, to the seventh inning walk-off. This is a trivia game we play with our guests. Andre is going to compete for a hearty thanks and a T-shirt today. Someone won the car last week, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
So this game is a series of 7 questions. That's where the seventh inning walk-off comes from. There's 5 that are trivia, and there's 2 that are opinion. Each one is worth a point. But a lot of the questions have 1 part or 2 parts to them, and we call those RBIs. So if you have a question with 2 RBIs, you get a possible 3 runs. So I hope that all makes sense. And are you ready to start?
I'm ready.
Okay. First question. What year was Eastern University founded?
1945.
25.
25. Very good.
Oh, man.
And then for the RBI, okay, there's still a runner on third. You can still get that athlete home. What year did they change their name from Easton College to Eastern University?
2025. So we that would have been 1980.
2001, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Get
Yeah.
out. I should have went more with 2000 because more of that was going. Yeah, it's a good
Not easy
idea.
questions. Really not easy
No.
questions.
Yes. Andre, in your senior year at Eastern University, what was your batting average?
It's my best year. It was 337.
Ah,
you're
you went
selling yourself
lower.
short.
I
Why
know,
I was gonna go 47, but I didn't.
No.
3-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, coach.
I'm not even mad at you. Look at that. And what was your OPS?
600. We was killing it that year.
Oh, you're selling yourself short. 1.059.
Really?
Yes. And then
Oh,
for
my
your third or second RBI, how many times did you strike out?
Played in about 39 games. I played every game that year. How many times I strike out? I did not have a strikeout per game. Or did I?
Nope. No, you're on the right track. You're good. Mm-hmm.
28 times.
Oh.
No.
In half of that.
What?
Yeah.
You
I
are
should-
selling yourself short. He's like, what?
Wow.
All right, so we'll take a break from the diamond, but we're going to do with an opinion question. Okay, who is the best outfielder in Division I softball right now?
Best outfielder. Oof. I don't know. I got some that. Can we go high school?
Well, how about this? How about best outfield, like the best three outfielders? Like, what school do you think has the best outfield?
In my mind, it goes Oklahoma, and then if I had to list a number 2, it'd be Texas.
Well, it's opinion.
Yeah.
See, no runs. It's just just a little walk up to first base. Now you're on base.
During your time at the University of Pennsylvania as an assistant coach, you helped the Quakers to their best Ivy League record since 2003. What was their record in the Ivy League?
We were good that year. We were crushing it. Columbia was tough that year. We only lost about 8 Ivy League games. We were 12. No, we were 16 and 2. I completely switched it up. 16 and 2. It's my final answer.
Well, you should have called a friend. Is 15 and 5. Still great.
Really good, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we probably lost like 3 games to Columbia. They were really good.
Okay. This one guaranteed to get a run.
Oh gosh. Are you
True.
sure?
Oh yeah.
About a bad memory.
True or false? Backing up bases is just as important as catching fly balls.
True.
Yeah, see? Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, 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 ding.
There
Yeah.
we go. We on board.
Awesome. Okay, Andre. Opinion question. What is a center fielder's biggest responsibility?
Biggest responsibility. Oof. To cover ground.
Cover ground.
You gotta
Like
cover
that.
ground.
I like that. Okay, question number 7. Should be a couple of beach balls coming over the plate here. What outfielder in Major League Baseball history has the most home runs? Outfielder.
Barry Bonds.
Excellent. Do you know how many?
No, you have to give me that one.
762. And for the RBI, what outfielder in NCAA Division I softball holds the home run record?
Oh, this is recent. You gotta give it to me.
Is Jocelyn Allo with
That's right.
122 home runs.
What year was that?
That was 2018. It was pretty recent, 2018, 2022, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was amazing. Can you give us a rundown of the camps that are coming up? Starting. We should be starting soon, right? Spring's right around the corner.
Yeah, so we've got some spring ones here in Georgia. We do private training here all year round in Atlanta. But we've got training camps here in Georgia. Maryland's coming up in April. That's always a really big turnout and a great event. All of these we do double headers on. So I'm doing baseball first, get those guys out of the way, and then we do softball afterwards. And then we will have Our California camp is great. I love it. The weather's always great. That's August 8th and 9th. That's on our website. You go to graveyardmentality.com and then you go towards this softball tab. You'll see our locations pop up. You just click California and it'll take you right there. Most of our camps are on the website and booked and reserved about almost a year out. So soon you're actually going to see our California camp for January on the website soon. So we are a well-oiled machine, thanks to Shantae, who handles a lot of those logistics and making sure our parents have enough time to see when our events are so they can plan and schedule accordingly.
We want to thank you for being here. It was a blast. Learned a lot about the outfield. And once again, I think what you're doing is great. I love that you're focusing on the outfield because it is misunderstood. You know, I think a lot of parents think, oh, they put my kid in right field. They don't think she's very good. It might be true in 6U, but when you start coming up and even like in the major leagues, you got to be good to be playing right field. So thank you for all that. Really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you all. I enjoyed talking about the position. And yeah, excited to meet y'all in person and love, seeing that you guys are getting more information out there about outfield and helping me with that journey.
Remember, everybody, you can find us online at www.dspn.online. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, and on Instagram at dspnplus. Please like, subscribe, and follow.
You can find this episode and all of our episodes at DSPN Online and wherever you find your podcast.
If you're a fan of the show, please go to patreon.com/Softball Central to help support the show. All the information is there.
Thanks again to the Glove Pope for the support and sponsorship of this podcast. Visit theglovepope.com. or find them on all social media platforms by searching at The Glove Pope. Don't forget to mention DSPN for your 15% discount.
I'm Rob D.
I'm Samara. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the DSPN Softball Central podcast.
Until next time, put that ball in play. You never know what's going to happen. Ciao.